It's time to put your health in your own hands. Get ready to learn from today's top health and wellness innovators and thought leaders on Optimal Health Radio. Now, here's your host.
Hi, this is Tammy Patzer, and I'm really excited to introduce today's guest, Gary Gerber. Gary is a successful marriage and family therapist. His life quest is to find new and effective ways to help others achieve their life goals. He is deeply motivated to lead others to a more fulfilling and healthy relationship with others. In 2011, he met Guruji Mahantra Trivedi, founder of the Trivedi Effect and Trivedi Global Incorporated. After he witnessed the remarkable transformation of himself and others through the power of the Trivedi Effect, he was compelled to join the Trivedi Healers Mastery Program to discover the depth of his innate energy healing capabilities. With Guruji Trivedi's guidance, Gary developed his ability to harness life force energy from nature and transmit it to people to enhance their health and well-being, as well as non-living materials such as nutraceuticals for improved performance. To date, Gary's unprecedented abilities have been scientifically validated and published in multiple scientific journals. He credits the Trivedi Effect for the tremendous personal and professional growth he now applies to be a catalyst for others to achieve success and happiness. Welcome, Gary.
Great to be here.
This is a really interesting concept. Life force energy and the Trivedi Effect. Can you tell me more about what the Trivedi Effect is?
Well, Trivedi Effect, as I understand it, is really a phenomenon that it's a phenomenon that where energy is harnessed and transmitted to organisms and inanimate objects, inanimate matter, so that the highest potential can be realized with those particular organisms and that inanimate material, whatever that is.
So you met Guruji Trivedi in about 2011. Can you tell me more about that meeting and how it really affected you and helped you to not only continue your transformation, but get you from there to where you are today?
Well, I actually never met him personally. I was contacted by someone who had met him and told me that this was a very wonderful experience that she'd had, and it was from that I decided to make contact. And my first transmission was a remote transmission from him. It was set up at a specific time, and I just sat in my living room and was quiet and contemplated and reflected at the time. And what I found in that particular encounter was that a tremendous flow of energy through my body that I had never felt before. And I noticed afterwards I felt good, I felt great, I had more energy, I slept well, and I was just amazed by the impact that this had upon me. I've always been one who said, I need to know that what I'm doing has efficacy. I need to know that it does something and that it's not just some sort of an idea that we all think it might do something. And I found this to be the most incredible experience of my life because I felt the power of something surging through me, which I couldn't explain and which was most amazing to me. And that's how I got hooked on it. And I did more energy transmissions with him. And then eventually started going to conferences and getting to know him better and having in-person blessings. And one thing just led to another till I decided to become a healer.
So you actually had a physical sensation of the energy and like what you said you felt energized, and yet at the same time you slept better.
Yes, that's true. At the time that I was having the energy transmission, I felt a tremendous surge of something go through my body, kind of like a wave or a vibration. And that was really it was really astounding to me to have that experience. And yes, it also quieted me when I slept. I slept very well, and with energy transmissions, I tend to sleep very well. There are occasions where I'll have a night of less sleep than others, but on the whole, I sleep much better having had these energy transmissions than I did before.
Huh. That's really interesting, because I noticed that when I've had the energy transmissions that I really sleep very, very deeply. And I'm normally a really light sleeper, like any little noise will wake me up. But after an energy transmission, I personally will just go really into a deep, deep sleep and sleep through the night, which is kind of unusual for me personally. So you decided to join the Tri-Vedi Healers Mastery Program. And again, you are a successful marriage and family therapist. So how does this translate? Do you use it in your current work, or is it totally separate? What does that look like?
Well, I don't use it directly in my work at the moment, although I do believe that what we know about this energy is that it has a ripple effect. So I do believe that people who come to see me are affected by this energy, even though we don't talk about it. You get in the electromagnetic field of other people, and they're affected by that in I believe, a positive way. So I think in that way it affects them. I also I bless my clients every day after they leave. I do that before I go to sleep at night. I just think it's something extra that I can give them, knowing that this energy has such great efficacy, and that it really does affect change in people's lives. I read about that. I know that that's happened in my life. I believe it happens in other people's lives, and I've noticed at times when I was leery about a certain client, and I would bless them, and suddenly something shifted in a really kind of interesting way, and I just sort of took note of that and said, I have a feeling that's because of the extra energy that comes with the Tri-Vedi energy transmissions.
Wow. That is interesting, because you, again, as a marriage and family therapist, you have a lot more education than, say, the average person does related to, science, and then also just the human beings and biology and things like that. Now, you've actually participated in different scientific experiments related to this life force energy. Can you talk a little bit about that and how the science helps to validate that this energy is real?
Well, I participated in double-blind studies with a scientific lab, as did the rest of the Tri-Vedi disciples or followers. And what we found is that indeed the energy that we transmitted actually does affect change. In my particular case, the progesterone levels and the progesterone levels were increased. The estrogen levels increased. There was a 70% improvement in electrolyte balance. There was 40% decrease in inflammation. There was 160% improvement in overall immunity. There was 60% increase in blood cell count and 35% increase in testosterone levels. So it amazes me looking at that to see that that's the kind of shifting that this energy can do in a very short time. And when we did the blessing in that particular experiment, I think we took about maybe 4 or 5 minutes to project the energy, and we projected that energy remotely from our homes onto the particular specimens which were in India. And I'm just amazed by what this energy does, and I still find myself standing back and in awe of the tremendous power of it.
So, go ahead.
So I was just saying that's the kind of thing that happens when we focus our intention on a particular subject, whether it's a human being or whether it's a non-living material. These kinds of things are affected by it.
So if somebody were, trying listening and they're trying to figure out, you talked about this energy and the Trivedi effect. And earlier in another conversation, you had mentioned nature's wisdom to me. Can you expand on what you were talking about related to this life force energy and nature's wisdom?
Well, nature has a way of doing things, and it's about getting in touch with that internal part of us that wants to follow the natural path. It's so easy for us to become indoctrinated, to follow somebody else's dictums or somebody else's beliefs or what our parents think we should do, or what society thinks we should do in every way, shape, or form. But to follow nature's wisdom is really to listen to our heart, to listen to what our spirit is trying to say to us, and then to do that, and to be conscious of that and enough in touch with it so that we can allow nature to be the grand mover and not all the other things that come at us from our society that would want to influence us to do things in a way that is not in our best interest.
Wow, that's really phenomenal, because if you think about it in terms of the nature or the natural order of things. So in your perception of the energy, where does it come from?
The energy is divine energy. It comes from God. It's about opening ourselves so that we can be channels for that particular energy. It comes from divine source, absolutely. And it depends on our level of consciousness as to whether we'll be able to channel that energy, or can we channel it a lot? Can we channel it a little? Are we going to be a good conductor, like a superconductor? Will we be just a good conductor? Are we going to be a poor conductor of that energy? It depends on how aligned we are and how aligned we are to the divine itself, so that we can really channel that energy. And what Mr. Trivedi has, I believe, worked with us on is to help us become channels so that we could really harness that energy and focus it somewhere, whether it's on a person or an inanimate object or something, and thereby enable that particular subject, whatever the case may be, to find its, or to move into, or more closely into, its full potential.
So what do you think are some of the biggest misconceptions that people have about this energy?
Well, I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that we have to do magical things, or that we have to be a certain way, or that we have to even prepare ourselves in a certain way so that the energy will do its job. The energy will do its job. It's divine energy. It will do its job in spite of us, not because of us. And I think the biggest misconception that I've had to get my head around, and many of us have had to get our heads around, is that we just have to be open channels and come to the moment, and the energy flows through us. And that's a misconception, but it's also the beauty of the energy.
So it's an intelligent energy, and really, like you said, we as human beings are the conduit or the conductor of the energy, not the source of the energy. We're just the pass-through vehicle and that
right.
we're able to direct it.
Yeah. And the energy is very intelligent. It always amazes me that it goes where it needs to go. I don't have to worry about will it find its source or not. I just have to think about that person and it automatically finds it. In fact, when I do energy transmissions, I try to stay away from saying very much except give this person what he or she needs. And that seems to be what is most helpful. It's kind of like, for Christians in the Lord's Prayer, they pray, thy will be done kind of thing. It's a little bit like that. Instead of telling God what to do and how to do it, we say, this person's here, do what needs to be done.
The highest and best.
Yeah, for the highest good. And I really like that part of it. Yeah, and I can back away. I don't have to worry. I just have to show up and be there and be the conduit so that the energy can be transmitted.
So the time that you've spent then with Guruji then has been a time of developing your own innate abilities as a conductor. Is that accurate?
Yes, that would be true. The place where that was most stunning for me was when he said in one of the workshops, I'm going to have you bless wine now. And he said, I'll give you the ability to bless this wine. And what was so astounding, because I didn't know I could do this, and I kind of doubted myself. But when we tasted a bottle of very cheap wine, and we blessed it, and we poured it out in increments, we poured it out for certain people, and 2 or 3 different people tasted the wine. And what we did when we tasted the wine that was poured in their little container, we realized that the wine would have different tastes depending on the person to whom it was, who was consuming it. And so the energy has intelligence that it will shape the taste according to what that person likes or most desires. And then when we continued to bless it more, we realized that it continued to change again. And that's where I was really stunned by this whole thing. I thought, wow, I can really do this. I had no idea I could do it before. And frankly, when I came to Mr. Trivedi, I didn't come to be a healer. I came because I wanted to get something for me. I wanted to live into my full potential. I thought if there's something that I can gather from the experience with him that will help me in my practice, that would be great. And one of my beliefs is that if I'm doing my work, then I can work more effectively with people, because if I haven't done my work, I can't be a good therapist. So that's the reason I came, but I had no idea that I could become a healer. But that wine experiment was a big turning point for me.
Wow. Well, that would be very interesting to be able to actually taste the difference in something like that, because, that would really help you to see it, or I guess in this case, taste the difference.
Tasted the difference. It was just so amazing.
Wow, that's phenomenal. So if somebody wanted to talk to you more or find out more, do you have a website they can go visit or a contact?
Yes, I do. The website is called healingwithgary.com. Gary with 1 R. That's healingwithgary.com. My phone number is area code 403-270-8824. And my email is Gary Gerber at telus.net. That's TELUS.net.
Okay, so healingwithgary.com and Gary Gerber at telus.net. And of course, you can talk to people around the world. And that's another thing about this energy, is it does not matter where you're at, because obviously, like Gary said, it's an intelligent energy and it can find you no matter where you're at. Before I let you go, is there anything else you'd like to add to our conversation?
Well, I'm so grateful to Mr. Trivedi, to Guruji Mahendra Trivedi, for what he's given to me and to all of us. I just find that this has enhanced my life tremendously. I can't say enough about this person who has given so openly openly, so freely, and so caringly to all of us. And I've really felt that personally from him, and I just can't say enough about this person. There's none other like him that I know on this planet, and I'm most grateful.
That's beautiful. Well, Gary, thank you so much for sharing your experience with the Trivedi effect. I've learned a lot today. I really appreciate that.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Everyone, this is Tammy Patzer. Go make it a beautiful day.
You've been listening to today's top health and wellness innovators and thought leaders on Optimal Health Radio. To get more solid health and wellness information, visit optimalhealthradio.com.